said to me, "Oh, you're sounding really sexy. I'm really digging that." And I think, yeah, obviously she wasn't. She was taking the mick, and she wasn't being genuine. But I also think there was part of it. She was trying because she didn't know. I'd not interviewed her before. I think it might have been like a little bit of a kind of initiation thing. And luckily I was able to kind of respond quite quickly. And I said, "Oh, it doesn't. It might not surprise you to know that nobody's ever really said that to me before." And she had this incredible, maybe slightly staged, but quite satisfying laughing fit. Seemed to last for about a minute. And all her entourage were laughing as well. I was like, "Oh, good, okay, this will get her in a really good mood for a preview interview." And it was quite a standard one, but it was all right. And, lucky the cameraman was rolling for all of that, so that's something I like to break out to bore people with regularly.
That's how you met your good missus, and regaled her with that story, and then had the proof to back it up. You must have kind of some tournaments that you like to go to, some that you don't, and let's talk about some of those. Seems we haven't got any to watch. Like, which tournaments do you think are the best to be at for you?
I love Indian Wells, and I think everyone that I've ever worked with would probably say the same thing. I think most people would have that as their top tournament. Obviously the weather is great, the setting is beautiful. It's a really, really well run tournament. The players are always in a really good mood. It's just great. There's some really great places to eat and drink nearby. Which is important when you're there for a long period of time. I've seen some amazing tennis there. The atmosphere on that centre court is great, especially for night matches. It was the first Masters I ever worked on, and it was, it's always really great fun. I haven't been there for a couple of years. Obviously, I haven't been there this year, and I wasn't there last year. But before that, it was the only one I'd continually done.
What about Asia?
Yes. Well, Tokyo is amazing, because it's Tokyo and that city is incredible. I really, of the Chinese ones, I enjoyed Beijing a lot more than Shanghai. Or there's none I really, really dislike. There's none I kind of don't look forward to going to. Monte Carlo is the one event of the Masters where there's no night sessions, and that makes a big difference for us, obviously, because it means the days aren't so long. But then it's probably
mean that you're high rolling in the casinos for the whole of the night, right?
So that's exactly my point. It's not the place that I want to be spending evenings off, really, because it doesn't have, not being a high roller, Monte Carlo doesn't have much to offer for me in the evenings. There's a few good affordable restaurants, and if you go nearby, if you've been doing it for years, then you kind of learn places nearby. We would go to Nice quite a bit as well. But yeah, having evenings off in any of the other tournaments would be great. So maybe for that reason, Monte Carlo I don't enjoy as much as the others. But I mean, that's a stupid thing to say because the days are shorter, so that's good.
Yeah. Have you ever run into any players kind of on nights out or kind of off grid? Is it?
So it depends. Like when you're doing kind of tournaments that are in smaller places, if you like, or like don't have a lot kind of nearby. So when you're somewhere like Montreal, for example, is right in the heart of the city, and it's a big city, so there's lots of stuff to choose to do. Indy Wales, less so. You have to travel for a long way to get to Palm Springs. So everyone goes to similar places. So you'll quite often see players and coaches in restaurants, sometimes in bars if it's later on in the week. Obviously places like Monte Carlo, because it's smaller and everyone's got the evenings off, Yeah, you'll see them around a lot. Cincinnati, because it's in a town outside of Cincinnati called Mason, Ohio, and that's quite a small place. And there's like a handful of places that people want to go out and eat to. So you'll see a lot of players and stuff there. This has never happened to me, but a friend of a colleague of mine once had his and the rest of his friends' dinner paid for by Jamie Murray, I think it was, who was sat on the table next to them. So that was very nice. That's never happened to me. The most in terms of gratuities, I think, was Del Potro with some friends, and he gave me a beer from his big bucket of Corona that him and his mates had bought. So that's the most exciting freebie I've ever had from a player, if you like.
I think a lot of people listening to this would kill for a Corona from Delpo's little stash.
Yeah. Free. I'm all about the free stuff. That's another great thing about working on the tennis. You can get a lot of free merch sometimes. Although, again, I think that happened kind of less after I started working on it. Unfortunately, I heard stories that at Shanghai, you used to get to your hotel room and the tournament would have left a big holdall full of tennis equipment. Not rackets or anything, but like clothes and stuff. So that's cool. Yeah, I've got a few Indian Wells jackets and caps and things like that.
I was going to say you're up to your eyeballs in caps, basically, I would imagine. Other than getting free stuff, what about tennis would you change if you kind of had the chance, if you were in a bit more of a position of power than we are as journalists?
I think, well, there's actually some of the things that they're implementing in the anything that kind of that speeds it up slightly but doesn't take away too much of the excitement. And just not scheduling I would change slightly as well. Like, at dual tournaments I kind of get it, whereby you would have like 7 matches on a centre court if you've got men's and women's tournaments to get through. Tournaments where it's just the men or just the women, where the matches are kind of staggered throughout the day to have a day session and night session. I get that the tournaments want to make money from selling day session and night session tickets, but long days, I would trim everything down in terms of scheduling.
And would you recommend what you're doing as a career, freelance journalism, getting into tennis? Have you enjoyed what you've been doing? Would you recommend it to other people?
Absolutely. Oh, well, I'm incredibly lucky. And, whenever I get a bit kind of jaded with working in TV, or whenever anyone around me is, I have to kind of, just take a step back and a bit of a reality check and say, if I'd have gone back to the 14-year-old me and said, oh, in 20 years you're going to be interviewing tennis players and making television programs, I'd have been incredibly excited. So I do try and channel some of that kind of excitement from when I was much younger, and try and remember that when I'm having a bad day. Yes, I would definitely recommend it. If you love tennis, I'm very lucky that my 2 favourite sports are tennis and football, and those are the 2 sports I work on the most, easily by a long way.
Yeah, lucky you're good, maybe, who knows. If you were to give one piece of advice then to someone, say, who was that 14-year-old who watches tennis, loves tennis, like wants to kind of build the self up into doing something like you're doing, what would you say to that 14-year-old?
Well, the important thing now is social media engagement, isn't it? Because I think that that's kind of how, if you can make your own stuff, shoot your own stuff, do your own podcasts, or write your own articles, get things out there. Obviously, it's a much more flooded market. It's more egalitarian now, which is great in terms of, anyone can, well, not anyone, most people can kind of upload something to YouTube and kind of push something on Twitter. whereas before, doors were very kind of closed. You had to know people in certain businesses. But then the flip side to that is everyone's doing it. So, if you're creative and you've got a new idea, a new spin on a tennis web program or something, then that's the way to get noticed, I think.
Come and work for Last Word on Tennis.
Absolutely.
Get writing, just get going, and you never know, like I say, where it could take you. You've been to a lot of the big tournaments you mentioned, obviously Indian Wells. I think have you done Grand Slams as well?
I have, yeah, not all of them. I've not done the Australian Open. I would really. In fact, I've never been to Australia, so that is very, very high up on my list.
So that maybe answers the question. Like I was going to ask, is there anything left in tennis that you've yet to achieve that kind of drives you on and inspires you? I presume you think, you want to get back into tennis after your contract's finished with UEFA, and there's got to be something that's driving you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would, if I can work on the Australian Open next year, that would be incredible. But speaking of long days, from what I've heard, those are the longest days. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to work on that tournament. I'm really lucky that I've been able to work on pretty much every tournament I want to work on. Oh, how could I forget this? Acapulco. And if there's anyone from WTA or ATP Media listening to this, please hire me for Acapulco on site next year. I say this every year, and it hasn't happened yet, but I'm holding out hope. It just looks amazing. And I've worked on it from the other side. So, I've worked for the ATP 500s, the crew's kind of split into two, with a producer and a cameraman out on site, and a producer and an editor back in Stockley Park, making the live shows and the highlight shows. And so I've been on that side of it, so doing overnight edits.
That doesn't sound as fun.
No, you're talking on talkback to the producer who's out there, and they might be complaining about something really trivial, and you're thinking, mate, it's 3:00 in the morning. I'm in a windowless room in Hayes, and you are in Acapulco.
Shout out to Hayes, all the people of Hayes there. It's a lovely place, really. Have you worked at Halle?
Yes, and I love it.
Right. You might be in a good position then for the quiz question that I'm going to fire at you.
Oh, okay, great. I've only done Halle once. But it's definitely one of my favourite tournaments. So I love Germany anyway. I speak a bit of German, so that kind of helps. But yes, Halle's great, and we shot an amazing feature with some Federer super fans there, which was really good fun. I really enjoyed that. So I've got great memories of that tournament.
Oh, does Federer play there? I never really noticed. Right, let's move into the quiz questions then. You said you're going to be very competitive about this. I have got you an interesting question. It's actually in two parts, so we're going to go for the first part first, obviously. I'm looking for you to tell me any player who has won at Halle, has won at Queen's, and has won Wimbledon. Okay, so to have completed what I would like to call the grass court trilogy, which I don't think anybody else is calling it. So a player that has won at Halle, has won at Queen's, and has won Wimbledon. There are two people who have done it.
Really? Wow. Okay. I think you might have.
Halle has been going since 1993. That's probably given.
I think you might have caught me out early doors here now. That's right. So going back to think of players that have won at Queen's. Oh, I know who's done it. And I might even be able to tell you the years. So Leighton Hewitt won Wimbledon in 2002, won Halle in 2009, I think. But that was one of the last tournaments he won, and he's definitely won like 3 times, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Leighton Hewitt is correct. Well done. So you don't go blank.
Cool. And then
the other one is obviously going back a bit. So I said it started in 93. He won it in 90. He won Halle in 94.
Yeah. Can I guess that this might be? Well, I don't think he's won Queens though.